1-3. 1-3. Matthew, Suns, 1-3.
Yep. Just how you draw it up, John. Let's start the season out hot, huh?
Yes.
You know?
Come
First
right out
4 games.
firing. Just inconsistency across the board cost the Suns a game at home. The first game of a 5-game homestand. The Suns lose to the King by a score of 110-107 on a Harrison Barnes buzzer beater after the Phoenix Suns stormed back in the last 5 minutes of the game to make up for a really shitty third quarter. I mean, that's what it came down to. This team looked good, really good in the first half, 61 points. Came out, laid 15 points in the third, and had to claw back in, scoring 31 in the fourth quarter to make it a game. But ultimately, it's a loss. 1-3 for the Suns now, Matthew.
Yeah, I mean, the first half, it really seemed like they were blowing out the Kings, and the Kings were still there within 10 points. And I was like, okay, they'll keep up the energy. They've done it before. And then third quarter, they just didn't. And they tried to get it back too soon. They actually did. They got there very, very fast towards the end. But the way the Kings were shooting the three, I'm not shocked that 3 went down. I was actually expecting it to go down.
Yeah, no, so was I. I mean, at that point, because, again, I referenced it earlier in the week. I wrote a piece for Bright Side of the Sun talking about how the Suns' perimeter defense has just been shite so far this season. And it's not necessarily because the opposition is shooting a great clip. I mean, they are, but it's because they're so damn wide open. I think the statistic was like 83.9% of the opposition's 3-point shots thus far this season have been wide open or open. So a defender not within 4 feet of them. And when that happens on a long enough average, you're going to allow the opposition to make those shots. I mean, they have a good look at the perimeter. And while in the first half, I saw a better energy from the Suns when it comes to defending the 3-point line. I mean, you look at how the Kings shot in the first half. They went 4 for 17, 23.5% from the 3-point line. Ultimately, they end the game with a torrid second half. They shoot 15 to 38, 39% total. So, I mean, it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating to see what's hurting this team, to see the lack of focus hurting them, to see the opposition coming out in the second half with more energy than they do, and ultimately losing the game because of it. It's just frustrating.
It is, and the Suns right now are really trying to find themselves, and I guess we kind of overlooked that. A newer kind of squad behind the actual starting guys. You got to kind of figure that out still. So we'll give them some more time.
We're going to have to. We're going to have to give them
no choice.
all the time. All the time.
Yes.
Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Suns Jam Session podcast. Whether you're listening on the bright side of the... Oh, I'm not on the Bright Side of the Sun podcast network anymore. Whoops. Freudian slip. Let me drink my Diet Pepsi over here. Or if you are watching along live on YouTube, we appreciate it. Wherever you're at, make sure that you hit the thumbs up button, you subscribe, you rate, you review. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star review. And we have a couple 5-star reviews that we'll read at the end of the podcast. So shout out to the people who decided to go, you know what, we're going to stop by, give them those 5-star reviews. We really appreciate it. Make sure that you follow the show on Twitter at Suns Jam. You can follow me at Darth Voida. You can follow Matthew
at Matthew Lissy.
Let's go ahead. Let's pop open a beer, Matthew. Let's pop one open.
Let me grab mine.
Okay. I don't have one, so it's all on you tonight.
In Colorado.
Ooh, sounds nice. Pop them if you got them, Suns fans. Let's talk about this game. Yes, 3-point loss for the Suns to the Kings. It always kind of hurts when you lose to the Kings because, they're kind of the team that you look at and you go, you know what, we've been drafting next to you for a lot of years. We have a lot of assets that maybe you wanted or vice versa. And, to see them come in to win this game is a little bit frustrating. It's a lot of frustrating, but.
Matthew, I got to ask.
Matthew, I gotta ask, when you look at this game, Do you think that tonight's performance is a result of the Suns having a target on their back to where a team just doesn't stop because they know who the Suns are and they want to beat them?
Yeah, I mean, you can see how quickly the Suns can turn it around towards the end of the game, and then they can just take over that way. It's a mixture of both to me. It's a mixture of the target on your back, and it's a mixture of just trying to find some kind of sync on offense because the way they're playing, there's no flow between the starters. There's no flow between really the bench. The bench is something I think early in like the first two games we're really excited about. They seem to flow even better than the starters. Now the starters themselves, there's nothing really there. It's very individualized. One guy, of course, we'll talk about is Deandre Ayton, where
Mhm.
he was more focused on the first half, and that's when your offense is doing great. The third quarter on, it was very individualized. These guys were out there, especially Devin Booker, who put up Kobe numbers tonight with like the 12 for 38 shooting. And
Mhm.
it seemed like they were just trying to go away from DA and try to do their own thing. When you're bench, and especially like McGee and those, their bench players are outplaying kind of your main offensive focus. It's hard for a team to look at that, like the Sacramento Kings, a lesser team that you want to beat. If they're looking at that, they're like, you know what, these starters are having a hard time. That gives them a little bit more momentum too. So it's really a mixture for both for me.
Yeah, I think, it definitely is a sign that this is a team, as we've discussed and we knew coming into the season, was going to have the opposition looking at them and saying, hey, we're going to attack at all times. This is the Phoenix Suns. Okay. This isn't a team that, is at the doldrums of the NBA anymore. This isn't a team where we can sit a couple guys to get rest. No, this is a team that we want to know who we are as a team. The Kings came into this game 1-2, just like the Phoenix Suns. And they had that question. They go, who are we? Well, you know what a good litmus test is? Playing against the Western Conference champion Phoenix Suns and seeing what we have. And you know what? For the most part, it was, a first half that really kind of they had to go into the locker room with Luke Walton as their head coach and really just kind of take a look inward and go, you know what? Who are we? Because they were down at the half. What was it? 61-53, I think it was, so they're down 8 points. And truthfully, they got outplayed in that first quarter or that first half. The Suns came out with that energy that we've been talking about has kind of been missing. They came out with active hands. They were focused on disrupting passing lanes. They were swiping down at the basketball. If Rashawn Holmes brought it down, Chris Paul's in there swatting at it. I mean, they were doing all those little things, the little things that equate to success in the first half. And going into halftime, you're feeling good. The Suns are shooting 51% from the field. The Kings are shooting 46% from the field. The Suns are moving the ball around. Of their 26 total makes, they had 14 assists on those. So I mean, I think that they really came out with that tenacity. And then I think you nailed it on the head, Matthew. They when the shitteth hitteth the faneth in the third quarter, and the Kings came out, excuse me, when the Kings came out aggressive, shooting
Yeah.
the three ball, the Suns went away from team basketball and went to individualized basketball.
They did, and that's something that you don't want to see. I know there's a lot of some Nader minutes in the beginning too, where you came out on Twitter and talked about you're a Nader hater. And
Oh
excuse me,
yeah.
I've been under the weather a little bit, so I'm just now feeling good. So my voice does sound a little more sexier. So
Yeah,
I
it's
can't really
raspy.
complain. Yeah, so you get a lot of these guys coming in off the bench, especially Nader, where he's trying to fill a role to where Monte wants him to do more, and he does do more. It's just he has a hard time finishing. He has a hard time where he can't make the correct pass to DA in the lane. There's a lot of wasted possessions tonight to where the team is just turning the ball over. Just, it's kind of like a turnover and it's like, oh, no big deal. We kind of are just kind of experimenting in a way. It's kind of seemed like at first, and then it just kind of got ridiculous to where they just kept getting turnover, and the second chance points, second chance points. I know the Suns think they're good and they know they're going to get their flow back, but right now the way they're approaching these games is like we're good enough to come back, and we're going to come back and win these games. And for some reason it reminds me like of a team last year. I can't think of the team, but there was some team last year that did the same exact thing with the year before. They thought they were so great they can come back. Maybe it's the Kansas City Chiefs. It's like Kansas City Chiefs like, oh,
That's a good
we're
comparison,
always
though.
gonna win a game, but then they just can't get the same shit going that they had last year. And it is gonna take some time, but I'm just saying that's the way it looks. It just looks like the Suns are like, as long as we're there in the end, we're gonna win this game. But it's not going that way, because once you get this team like the Kings of momentum heading into the fourth, they're gonna close it out, and that's what they did.
Yeah, you allowed a bunch of young guys to feel the one thing that could hurt you, and that is confidence. Buddy Hield was feeling confident. Tyrese Halliburton was feeling confident. Fucking Alex Len
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
feeling confident. The guy's never makes three. He hit two of them tonight, and the second one was a real kick in the nards. Because I mean that's a time when you're trying to push this back, you're trying to get back in the game, and Alex Len's popping threes on you. I mean, it just goes to show you that if you allow the opposition to have confidence, they're gonna take it. I mean, these are professional basketball players, and kind of to your point, I think the Kansas City Chiefs analogy is a great one. The Chiefs right now are what 3-5 or something, and they just have this kind of feel about them. It's like, you know what, no matter what, we can come back. We're the Chiefs. And the Suns, they haven't really done anything. They're a team that, if you remember last year, why didn't Jalen Smith play? It's simple. The Phoenix Suns needed every minute of every game to ensure that they were the number 2 seed, and they almost made the number 1 seed. It wasn't like they were blowing people out last year. We weren't kicking the shit out of teams left and right. We weren't one of those teams. We were a grinded out defensive team who needed every minute from every player to be valuable in an effort to win those games. So if you have these games in which you take minutes off, when you come out not as intense as the Sacramento Kings, you're going to get burned on that. And that's exactly what happened to Phoenix tonight. The third quarter, that was the big one. That was the one where everything kind of went to shit, if you will, for the Phoenix Suns. Pulling up the numbers right now. Okay, third quarter, the Sacramento Kings went 4 for 8 from deep. The Suns went 0 for 6. So that's a 12-point swing right there. 11 for 25, 44% from the field for the Sacramento Kings. 7 for 22 for the Suns, 31.8%. And then if you look at their turnovers, they had 6 turnovers in that period. So you go up 8 points, and then you leave, they score 29, you score 15, 14-point swing. You're down 6 going into the fourth, and it's just like, what happened? And, is one thing that maybe I'm jumping the gun on Ayton watch, but, it's the same story, man. Deandre Ayton had to have it. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to do the drop right now. I'm going to hit it. Ayton watch. Deandre Ayton had 21 points and 21 rebounds tonight. Okay, and it's not always about the stats with DA. I know that. You know that. It's more about how he plays on the court, and I feel like he was definitely engaged in this game. You look at him up to halftime, 16 points, 11 boards, 8 for 11 shooting. In the third quarter, he goes 1 for 1. It's the same movie again, Matthew, but it's a travesty. What made this team successful was getting the ball down in the paint. They were killing him in the paint. And then they just go away from the paint. They start jacking up threes. They start playing that hero ball stuff. In that third quarter, 3 for 9 from the field from Devin Booker, 1 for 6 from Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Devin Booker 0 for 3 from deep. Mikal Bridges 0 for 1, Jay Crowder 0 for 1, and Cam Johnson 0 for 1. Deandre Ayton had a solid game tonight, and it was wasted because the Suns didn't utilize him in the third quarter. They allow him to just take a quarter off. He needs to demand the ball or something. I don't know.
Yeah, what he needs to be, going back to football, he needs to be like the prima donna, receiver out there, the Randy Moss. I'm not going to run this route if I'm not getting the ball. Basically, it almost seems like the way he is when we're going into the third quarter, and his energy tonight was really, really good. It's just at times you can tell maybe with him, like he's just like, I'm not getting the ball. Like I'm still trying, I'm rebounding, I'm swatting on defense, I'm doing everything I need to do. But offensively, I'm kind of just standing here setting picks again. And we're going into this Chris Paul thing with the 2-man game where he's going to throw up these good looking shots. They probably should have went in. Booker too was forcing up the threes in the beginning of in the second half. So those things are like not necessary. And a lot of teams do this to where something is working so great that they go away from it like in the second half and they save the other team a lot of trouble. And honestly, DA is a guy, he is not superstar, but he's there to where he can be like a cat or something like that offensively. to where you got to keep going to him. He needs to have like that 40-20 game like he was going to have tonight. Let's see what that's like, because the energy he had in his little feet, like running up and down the court, he was so fast in the half court getting to places where he was just like, give me the fucking ball. Him hitting those 2 jump shots in the first half, like stepping into them with confidence, he looked like a point guard throwing those up. There was something about him tonight, and even Booker on the sideline at it, I think it was a timeout in the second quarter, he was just slamming his fist like, come on, dude, keep bringing it. And then you just go away from him. You don't even give him the fucking ball. And he has to get his 1-for-1 by grabbing the ball on the block, doing a nice turnaround jump shot that went in. And it's just like, what are they looking at to where they're just like, okay, we've had enough DA. Let's do something else. Let's get our other stars involved. No, they're not. They're not filling up the stat sheet the way DA is early. They're not giving us a 10-point lead like DA was in the first half. So then why do we go away from it? I know everyone wants to get involved. It's a team game. DA is very unselfish. And he's never probably going to complain, but the prima donna thing might need to come, because he's like, then they'll probably start winning games, of course, here, get a nice good win streak. But he's like, we're not going to win these games unless I get the ball more now. I need to be more of a focus, because then honestly, that opens up everything else. And tonight, it didn't really open up everything else, because they went away from DA, and the defense knew it. The defense knew that they weren't going to go back to him as much. And DA was just kind of out there setting screens again in the third quarter.
Yeah, I think that playing against Rashawn Holmes, somebody who definitely has a high motor, one of the highest motors in the league, especially at center, brought something good out of DA tonight. You know, he was like, okay, I have to match his energy. And when you're a member of the Phoenix Suns, if you're Chris Paul, you need to take advantage of that. You go, okay, my guy's locked in tonight.
Yeah.
You know, I need to go ahead, recognize that he's come out here to play. He's got the energy that we talk about at times, the things that we want to see. And maybe I should feed him the ball a little bit more. You know, Chris Paul ended the night 1 for 10. 1 for 10. You know, if on those 10 shots, if 2 of them, he had decided to go to Deandre Ayton instead, guess what? The Suns win this game. But instead, you know, he didn't. And you know, Chris Paul's a Hall of Famer, so you can't knock him too much. But this was not, obviously, you know, 1 for 10, a 1 for 10 performance, 6 points, 8 assists. You know, this was not a good Chris Paul game in any way, shape, or form. And that is one of the reasons why. It's because when you have a guy who's cooking, especially if you're the point guard, that's your job, is to get the ball to the guy who's cooking. And it was DA. He wanted the ball. He played well with the ball. He was, you know, blocking. How many blocks did he end up having?
I think he had 3. One was called a foul too. That should have not have been.
Yeah, that was the one at the end with Tyrese.
Oh, he only had one. He only had 1 block. God, I feel like he had 3.
Yeah, that feels wrong. I mean, he was playing with the tenacity that we hope that he could play with. And, you know, again, Chris Paul just didn't necessarily focus on getting him the ball, which was frustrating for this. You know, I think I've used that word like 6 times already in the pod, frustrating. But again, you know, it's like, especially when in the second quarter, the Suns did something that I've been waiting for them to do. And they did in the fourth quarter as well. And they closed a quarter. It's something that against Portland did not happen well. And Denver definitely didn't happen well either, where at the end, you know, they're cruising, they've got a nice little lead, and then they just stop playing at the end of the second quarter, and they let the Denver Nuggets and the Portland Trailblazers back in it. You know, tonight they didn't do that. It was solid, but then they just didn't come out. It's like, Suns, you can't take 5-6 minutes off. And it's funny because I remember the Suns were like this at the beginning of last year. Those first 16 games where the Suns were 8-8. It was the same story where the Suns just weren't doing a good job of consistently closing quarters. They weren't consistently, you know, staying engaged, playing with a sense of urgency. They weren't doing those little things right that equate to success. And ultimately, that's what led to a 500 start. You know, now we are 1-3. We're going to have some days off before we play Cleveland, but guess what? That's not going to be an easy game either, dude.
No, because Cleveland's actually looking pretty decent. They got the bigs down there in the middle. I mean, I don't think any game's going to be easy. I think we really just assumed, of course, the Kings would be a good bounce back game after the back-and-back game earlier. But the way these teams are playing, like you mentioned in the beginning, they're going to like put a lot of effort into these games against the Suns. But I feel like the Suns are just kind of killing themselves right now. And I think they know that too. And I think when Monty probably takes a post-game conference call or whatever, he'll probably just say like, yeah, we are killing ourselves. A lot of that might be him just like trying to force feed different players into this lineup, try to do something else. There's a lot of weird things going on with this team. And the first half looks so good. And then second half was so bad because it was just like, it's just a different kind of offense. I think like Jay Crowder, even like with the back downs and the floaters and the driving, he's doing good, but it's just like has a different game this year, kind of. And like you have to mix in everybody else and figure out what these guys can do because they're newer. I think the Suns are just having a hard time figuring that right now. And I think it's going to be okay, honestly, but I
do too. I do too.
And when it's not okay, though, you got to go to what you know is going to be good and what's going to get the job done. And that is Deandre Ayton. And I can't get over this one. This is probably like one of the worst ones I've ever seen because the game was there for him to take over and be that leader, have it on his shoulders. He looked like a leader tonight, even when the ball was given to him. He kind of looked like, maybe on offense I won't get the ball, but just keep rebounding and playing that great defense. Like you can't ask for anything else. You got to reward him, man.
No, 100% agree. And yeah, this one definitely stings. This is one we'll remember 2 months from now. This will be one we'll remember this one at the end of the year when the Suns are like a game or two out of first place. And we're like, dude, if we just, fed DA the ball a little bit more, if Devin Booker and Chris Paul, had kind of played.
I hate that.
And kudos to Devin Booker. I will say this. Devin Booker, you said it. He had a Kobe-like performance tonight and did, 12 of 28 shooting from the field. 31 points, 8 assists, 6 total rebounds. The thing with Devin Booker tonight is he was, as I mentioned, he had a really rough third quarter as well. He had a good fourth quarter. He was really part of that comeback.
Yeah.
You have to credit him on that. He was 3 for 6 with 10 points, 4 assists in that fourth quarter, 3 for 4 from the free throw line. And this was a nice Devin Booker game. Again, it started off in that first quarter with him coming out, him scoring 7 points right off the bat. He had 7, Mikal had 7, Ayton had 8. It's like Booker, Bridges, and Ayton. BBA. ABB.
ABBA.
It's as easy as 1, 22, 25. No, it doesn't work. We got to come up with a good nickname for that duo because that's kind of like those are that's your core three right there. It should be. We want it to be moving forward if we can get an extension to DeAndre Ayton. But Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton, like that should be your big three because Chris Paul will fade away into the sunset one day. And those guys are going to have to lead you in scoring. So we got to come up with a good nickname for him. And that was my initial notes. Like, as this game began, I was like, look at these guys. Like,
nickname.
Well, I was trying to come up with something. I just couldn't come up with anything, but I really thought that it was a great performance from Booker, Ayton, and Bridges to start this game. You saw that in the first quarter, that you saw that in the first half. And I'm like, okay, this is what this team will be one day. And for it to just dissipate the way that it did, definitely disappointing, but there still are some positives that we, let's go ahead and do the drop because we are being so negative on this show. The positives are the Suns did come out with that, fire, if you will, with Devin Booker willing to shoot, and letting DA play, keeping him involved in the game. And Mikal Bridges, man, I'm telling you, he has been nothing but impressive so far. His aggressiveness, his willingness to go ahead and take some shots, those are the little things that I was really hoping we'd see this season. I've said it before, I'll say it again, but his offensive aggressiveness is the highlight so far for me of this early season when there hasn't been much highlights.
Yeah, and honestly, I thought you were gonna do a drop or something right there.
No.
What? Okay, so I know you're talking about Booker letting Ayton play, and we're being positive. I guess I have to be positive, but
try.
To be positive, I want them to really just work on their 2-man game, him and DA, because there's so many times when DA is there and Booker just doesn't see him and just doesn't care. It happens over and over again. Chris Paul kind of is doing better, but I think him, Ayton, and Booker need to figure that out because Booker did a good job and 12 for 28, but a lot of it was just him forcing shit when it didn't need to happen. So I wanted to see more facilitation from Booker, honestly. And I'm sorry, I just ruined that whole segment by being a little bit negative. And maybe Booker's just trying negative. Maybe he's just trying to get his game going. But a game like this, DA's having a monster game. Just keep feeding him, man. No, that's really it.
It's true. It's definitely true. Looking, at the Kings side of the ball, you got to give the Kings credit here. Okay. They came in here, the same thing, 1 and 2, definitely were up for this game, but you look at kind of how they performed tonight. Harrison Barnes, 22 points. Rashawn Holmes, 12 and 12, 18 from De'Aaron Fox, 15 from Tyrese Halliburton. And then, of course, the dagger truly was Buddy Hield, 26 points off the bench, 7 for 11 from 3. That's the one thing you have to kind of take solace in this game is, as I mentioned, the Suns' perimeter defense has been very, very poor this year. But when Buddy Hield is taking like 32-foot shots from the Suns logo and sinking them, when Harrison Barnes is making off-balance fadeaway threes to win the game, like sometimes it's just not your night. And it's unfortunate, but that's just kind of the way it goes, man.
Yeah, and the responsibility the Suns have is just to match that. The Kings had to give all they could really offensively with a 3-point shot, and they got the majority of them to go in. So, but the Suns are the team now to really they have to match it in other ways, right? We're not a great 3-point shooting team right now. We might not ever be really going forward this season. I know getting to the line is one thing that they really focus on in the past to get back into games, so they can find other things and other ways to slow teams down. I know their defense still hasn't clicked, so I know you talked about that article you put out and the way they just can't defend a 3 right now. But if a team like the Kings are hitting even contested threes, there's other ways they can make up for it on the offensive end. One is DeAndre. I'm just kidding. One is giving DeAndre Ayton the ball. No, but there's other ways, because like Mikal, like Cameron Johnson didn't really have the best game tonight, but Mikal, he should be another option offensively. Chris Paul, when those wide open shots that you usually get, that little gimmies mid range aren't there, then find the other guys to help you out. Dish them the ball like DeAndre Ayton or even Mikal Bridges dishing or running to the hoop. So there's other ways to do it, and they just couldn't find that tonight. And I think they really might have been trying to, and just no one else can really step up. And that was the one thing, right? I mean, our two guys, Booker and CP3, struggled at certain times during the game, so you got to find someone else. And there's no one really else besides Ayton was there.
Well, but here's the other side. And, I talked about a little bit on the last podcast against Portland, that something that I've also noticed from Phoenix, as again, we're at that point of the season where we're just trying to figure out who and what this team is. And so far, they're a 1-3 team. That's what we're finding out. But the question is, what's the why? And obviously shooting has been horrendous for the Suns. Horrendous. You look at their current rank coming into this game when it comes to 3-point shooting, and I believe they're shooting 34% on the season, right, from deep. That's good enough for 16th in the league. So they're kind of right in the middle. But then you throw in the performance they had tonight where they go 6 for 22, and that drops them to 32.8%. So they're going to drop there, right? Here's the other thing is last season we shot 83.4% from the free throw line. Tonight, 17 for 24. Couple that with what we've already done this season, that's going to drop the Suns to 71.4% from the line. 71.4. It's one thing that we have been privileged to have over the last 2 seasons. Are 2 years ago a historically great free throw shooting team, and last year the second best free throw shooting team in the NBA. And now entering this game, we were 24th in the league in free throw shooting, and that number also will drop because again we 71.4. So those are things that, again, when you have these close games and you're not making your free throws, I mean, how many times did somebody go to the line and just brick, and that adds up quick. So again, I don't know if it's focused, because it's not like we have this whole new set of players. 2 years ago when the Suns started shooting amazing from the line, well, you had some new faces a part of the team. Ricky Rubio was part of that team, and there were different players. And now it's like this is for the most part the same exact team that we returned from last year. Why can't any of them hit a free throw or a 3 anymore, man?
It's all mental, right? And even when they were talking about how tired they were in between the last 2 games, maybe it's something to do with that too. I think the way they started out so poorly from free throw shooting, it's going to take some time to get that back. The 3-point shooting, you would think might come a little bit quicker because we have the 3-point shooters. Mikal Bridges has improved. Jay Crowder, Devin Booker might hopefully improve this year because he looked like shit tonight. But Chris Paul, I mean, we have 3-point shooters, and I think that will probably even out towards the end of the year. I hope, because it needs to. I mean, in this league, you're going to have to hit those, especially when they're wide open. Transition offense looks pretty good for the Suns. They're just not falling down. And the free throw, going back to the free throws, though, I just don't know what that is. I think mentally that might be the hardest thing to get over for a lot of players is when you're missing them and the percentages are down for your team and I mean they practice them endlessly, right? During the game though, that might hit them in the head where it's just like we're struggling so much to where these matter so much more because especially when a team like the Kings are shooting lights out, like every little point counts and that might have something to do with it. Other than that, it'll just take some time for them to get over it.
Yeah, that's kind of the running theme with everything that's going with the Suns right now. In time, this will be okay. Again, it's early in the season. We're 4 games into it. We have 78 of these things to go. So if you were to ask me on a scale of 1 to 10, the worried factor, I'm a 1. I'm still not worried at all. You're just seeing these little things that need to be fixed in order for the big things to take care of themselves. And what we're doing, seeing as we have a podcast, we go live after every game, is we're just noting what those observations are. Because had they won this game, had this gone to overtime and they won this game, we would have had a sigh of relief and then still analyze the negative of this game, I feel, and the things that we're starting to see. They're consistently inconsistent right now. Another thing that I wanted to bring up is your boy Elfrid Payton has been playing fantastic with Cameron Payne not in there. This is his 2nd consecutive game with Cameron Payne gone. He ends with a stat line of 10 and 2, 10 points, 2 assists. I feel like, he was trying to set up DA. There was one great play, one of my favorite plays. I think it was in the second quarter, where Elfrid Payton runs a pick and roll on the left elbow or right elbow with DA, right? And he does this great bounce pass to him, and DA just doesn't expect it. So DA kind of catches it late, and then he tries to pass out of it, and he ends up passing it back to Elfrid. They run the same thing. Elfrid's like, no, we're going to do this again. We're going to get this right. And DA goes up for the shot. He misses the shot because of good defense by Richaun Holmes. But I just thought that was such a beautiful, kind of little moment in there where Elfrid Payton's like, no, man, like we're going to get this right. Between that and the way that he has that like push shot, the push shot floater. I know you love that. Between your love for Elfrid Payton, your love for floaters, I mean, EP's got to be your guy, man.
Yeah, no, the floater is always perfect for them, and I love his size and Mega Giants 89s, right? Oh, you probably
we both clicked the same time.
Yeah, clicked the same one. Payton was awesome today. So he was, and I love his length, and I think he's a little bit stronger and bigger than people think. He when going into the lane, he really uses his length and his size to really push away the defender to get what he wants. You see a lot of that, but he's actually very up and down, like kind of fast to slow, to really get maybe another player involved in the offense to where he can set them up. And it's going to take some time to where maybe those assists go up a little bit more. But he's there. He's ready to find his teammates. He might mess up a few times here or there, but just his length and size is really, really, I feel like, underlooked in a way to where he's in the paint. And I love players like him and Cameron Payne where they go in and they just think they can finish every time. Because honestly, if they get the right angle, if they're playing against the right defender, they really can. And coming off the bench when he's playing against those guys, the lesser point guard on the team, you know he can actually be that guy to really get into the paint and make a mess and really set up his teammates. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. I know only 13 minutes tonight, but he seemed like he's been showing up this whole year. He's been showing up anytime I've been very comfortable with him on the court. I've been very, very comfortable when he comes in. I get very excited. So I hope whenever campaign comes back, we still see more Elfrid Payton. Like, don't screw that up. Take away the Nader minutes, all right? There was one good play he did tonight in the 5 minutes, but just keep him coming in the game when available. And honestly, might be getting more minutes now because Cameron Payne might be out a few more games. So
yeah, I mean, that's the luxury you have is you can really take the time to allow Cameron Payne to heal properly because you have a veteran like Elfrid Payton who can come in and give you quality minutes. These aren't, backup Mike James minutes. No, these are quality minutes. And it was nice for him to see him, Abdel Nader. That's a whole nother story for those who like to read. Tomorrow, I will be publishing on Bright Side of the Sun my anti-Nader piece that I've put together.
It's coming out, huh?
It's a whole thing on why Nader needs to take a seat. Yeah,
I hope all around now.
When he reads it, he'll be like, "Damn it, Void is one of the guys who used to like me." But I just really
Does he follow you on Twitter?
No, I don't think anybody follows on Twitter. No one follows me on Twitter. Westville says in the chat, "We're the Nader haters." Where's the Nader haters? I'm I'm a Nader.
I'm not really
Blaze
much
making
of
sure
a
he's like,
hater.
Reed, who do you think we are?
I know, right? Well, if you don't want to read my articles. They're little dinkers. It's not so much Nader haters, it's just kind of like, we want to ghost the guy a little bit, just
Well,
kind of
it's
turn our
just
back.
yeah, I'm kind of at
You
that
know?
point where it's like, you know what? I feel like those minutes, as you mentioned, like those minutes can be utilized in a more productive manner. Now,
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel like Monty knew that an anti-Nader piece was going to be coming out because I only played him for 5 minutes and 16 seconds today.
Yeah.
Like he was barely out there. I was like, oh darn it! Like
Because it's not good.
I was hoping to get like 17 minutes so then I could really blast him. But it's like, I'll have to adjust part of my article to ensure that I include that. So
Lights, Cameron, action.
Your boy, man, your boy. Lights, Cameron, action. There was no 22 points or 22, almost 23 minutes off of the bench. 0 for 4 from the field, all of them being threes. His final stat line: 1 point, 1 rebound, 1 personal foul. Man, what the fuck happened to Cameron Johnson tonight?
You gotta love the effort, though, right? No, he was a little lost.
You gotta love the effort.
Yeah, I just honestly tonight was his spot up shots looked good, right? They looked like they're gonna go in. They weren't falling, but there was nothing else he was trying to like. What he was doing on the court was just a little bit of nothing, basically a lot of hustle, but he just wasn't there in time for a lot of plays. Even like, I think it was a 24-second shot clock violation against the Kings. He came up to block the shot against Hill, and it was a foul. Yeah. And if it wasn't a shot clock violation, they would have called a foul on the 3. Like he just straight up and nailed him like in the face or something. And I was like, okay, so if that was a shot clock violation, he'd be going to the line for 3. Like that stuff, it just seemed like mentally he was not there tonight at all. I can't really give him anything positive. I know I'm his biggest fan, and we're gonna have our off nights together. We're still gonna like hold each other tonight, and sing to each other and all that. But tonight he just needs to lay this
will
one
you
to
be
rest.
Singing?
Where did you go? What's that song? I fell in love, or what's a fool that fell in love? What was that song? I fooled around and fell in love. That song. I fooled around and fell in love.
Oh man, come for the Suns analysis. Leave with the silky smooth voice of Matthew Lissy. Damn, that raspy guy. Start singing some Smelly Cat for us, man. Damn, that's impressive. Yeah, it's unfortunate to see Cam Johnson have one of those nights because again, that could be the difference between winning and losing is just having Cam be a little bit more active.
Well, one more shot.
but I'll tell you this though, one thing that I enjoyed about this game was, again, Monty knew the anti-Nader piece is right around the corner. It's not anti-Nader. It's just saying, hey, like we could reallocate those minutes. And that's what he did tonight. He reallocated those minutes by allowing Jay Crowder to play a little bit longer. Jay ends with a total of 31 minutes, 10 points, 2 assists, couple rebounds. But he kept Jay in with Cam Johnson and had Cam at the 3, which is what I was saying on the last pod.
Why he sucked, huh?
It's like I want him. This could have some merit to it. He was playing a little bit out of position in this game. He's used to playing that backup 4. He played the backup 3, so maybe he was just not necessarily used to playing in that capacity. But that is kind of one of those adjustments that Monty tried to make in an effort to jumpstart Jay. He really, Jay's had a really rough start to the season. You look at him statistically where he's at. He's averaging 7.3 points this season, 31% from the field, 13.3% from deep so far for Jay Crowder. So Monty wants to keep him in the games a little bit longer. He typically plays about 27 minutes. He played 31 minutes in this game, so I really think that it's his kind of nod to trying to jumpstart him. And in doing so, he moves Cam to the 3, which plays into exactly what I think should happen.
Yeah, and you might be right. Sometimes when I say these things about Cam starting at 4 and then you come up and say 3, I'm like, maybe John does know what he's talking about. Maybe he has a little bit more input. But Jay, usually when you look at his field goal attempts, field goals made, they always usually line up with the 3-point attempts, 3 points made. Now it's like it seems like there's more. I said it earlier. There's like more to his game. He's trying to do the 2-man game with JaVale McGee a lot with the second unit. Just his fadeaways he's throwing up there, getting to the rim, throwing up some layups. It's a lot of different looking kind of Jay things. So last year it was all 3s, it seemed like, but now he's trying to implement some more of the 2-point game.
Yes. And, I haven't seen him go to the basket this many times the entire last season, and then he
I
has in
don't
the
think
first
so.
4 games. So,
Yeah.
Code JJM in the chat dropped $20. So we appreciate that. He asked the question, did we underestimate how much losing Willie Green would affect our defense? This is the second time Code has asked this question. He asked it on a previous pod. And, again, I think my answer still remains the same. But every time one of these games happens, it fortifies that narrative a little bit more, doesn't it, Matthew?
Yeah, and there's a reason Willie Green's now a head coach. So it might. I mean, coaching, you never think about it. So we're like this far into the season, or even 12 games, and it still looks like shit. So it's probably something that we might have to think about going to the next game. But honestly, the energy just needs to pick up a lot on defense and getting their focus and just their feet underneath them. Just, I guess we can keep saying that until they start winning some games and playing better defense. But right now, it just looks like it's just the energy is not really there.
Yeah, and maybe having Willie not around affects that. So Code could be on to something like
Daddy's gone.
When Daddy's gone and we don't play defense no mo. So but that is a good reminder. Thank you for donating in the super chat. That's $20 more that goes towards Matthew getting a Cameron Johnson jersey. We really appreciate that. This is a reminder to everybody who is listening. If you are on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. And if you're watching, give us a thumbs up. Smash that thumbs up button. We didn't lose the game. We're live. We're hanging out with you after the game. We didn't lose that game. We played defense tonight. I mean, we do what we can.
You can bet on it, bet on it, bet on it, bet on it.
All right, we're 0 for 4 now on Bet on It. I made it easier today. Instead of doing a 2-leg parlay, I said, hey, let's just pick one stat and we'll just go over or under. And it was Jay Crowder, 16.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. So he needed the number 17. Those 3 things combined. We asked the Jamsters via Twitter this morning what they thought we should do. With the final total of 54% to 46%, the Jamsters chose the over, and Jay Crowder hit the under. He had 14 combined. He had 10 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. So we are now down $4, Matthew.
Yeah, I bet the over too. I thought this was an easy one for him, but
yes.
It was almost there. There's a lot of Jay Crowder in this game. I'm surprised he didn't get over.
Yeah, I thought, well, especially because he had those extended minutes. I thought that I'm like, this is going to be perfect. This is, again, it was like negative 105 on the odds. So it's not like we were going to make a ton of money. But still, like, I was just like, oh man, it's going to hit. And then, he, like everybody else, just started missing everything in sight. And I was just like, well, that's what we get for betting on it, if you will.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
Jam star of the game.
All right, Jamsters. Reminder, go ahead and let us know in the chat who your jam star of the game is. Matthew, I'll let you go first.
It's going to be
I think
Deandre
it's a pretty
Ayton.
Mike, it's a pretty easy
21 and 21.
21 and 21.
Man, he better start acting like Deion Sanders, dude. He needs to be a little bit more of a prima donna bitch out there. Just get the ball, dude. Because honestly, I can't even. I don't know, man. It's him. We've already talked about it too much. I just get frustrated thinking about it right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely Deandre Ayton tonight. And as we've mentioned, and we're at nauseum, it's like, you know what? Some nights you just gotta recognize that you want the ball, and or your big guy needs the ball. And the Suns did neither of that tonight. And he definitely earned it. You could Alex Len in the chat from Pedro. Alex Len for hitting those threes. He was the jam star. It's just it's Ayton. It's nice that it's Ayton. It makes me happy that it's Ayton with everything that's been going on. It's nice to have these good, positive conversations relative to his performance. It just wasn't enough because the Suns just went away from him in the third quarter. What did he end up doing in the fourth quarter? Do you know that by chance, Matthew?
No. So what did he have? I think
3
he had
for 6
18 points. Did
no,
he have
no.
only 3 points?
He had 3 points. He had 3 points.
3 free throws. He had 3 free
right.
throws. That's so it's
so
disgusting.
He went. So his final stat line in the second half was 1 for 1 for 5 points. He had 10 rebounds in the second half, but 1-for-1 with 5 points in the second half. That's fucking disgusting.
How do you go into the locker room after and you guys are looking at that? What do you say to him? What do you say to each other? What do you really? I don't know if Monty even mentioned it, where they need to get DA the ball more, but I never hear that. I never hear, hey, we should have gave DA the ball more at the end of the games when this happens. I never hear that from anybody. I don't know what that is.
It should have happened tonight. It should have happened.
Just trade him away then. Trade him.
Suns, do me a favor.
Terrible. Take a lap.
They need to take a lap on that one, man. That just, God, I didn't really piss me off. Anyways, you know what? It's one game. I've said it before. You compartmentalize this. You shove it down and just don't deal with it. Or you hang out with us, and that's how you're dealing with it. And then you just move on to the next one. Next one on the schedule, Suns versus Cavs. They're going to be playing on Saturday night. Matthew, before we lock in who we're going to pick against the Fanning the Flames guys, first and foremost, we got to give a shout out to Suns Geek, because Suns Geek will actually be covering for me that night. I will not be available to watch the game or analyze it. So shout out in advance to you, Suns Geek. We really appreciate you helping out the show, buddy.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, the Cavs though, it's interesting with them because, a lot of people give up on them. I mean, why would you not, right? It's a good start to the season for them, but they got the bigs, Evan Mobley, of course, in the middle. But Kevin Love too, coming off the bench and put up some pretty good stats.
Yeah, he's playing this year, man.
Jared Allen, like they're pretty stacked, and it's one of these games where it's just like, I don't know if it's going to happen for the Kings, or where the Kings like feed off of this and like have a nice little run. But the Cavs already kind of started off pretty good, and they have a good game against the Suns here in Phoenix. It's going to feed them even more. They're going to start loving each other. They might even start loving Colin Sexton, because I guess no one likes him still. Is that going to be the story every year we go into the Cavs seasons? No one likes Colin Sexton. Like, I don't understand that one at all. I've just never heard that before. But Isaac Okoro, I mean,
he's a ball
they
hog.
have a good roster, man.
That's the take that everybody has in Cleveland about him, is he is a ball hog. He is somebody who is a black hole on offense. The ball doesn't move with him. But that being said, you look at the Cavaliers, who will be coming to this game with a 3-2 record, because they beat the Los Angeles Clippers this evening 92-79, behind 27-7 rebounds, that is, from Colin Sexton. So this is a team that definitely, when I look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, I kind of see like a team that the New Orleans Pelicans kind of wish they were. Now, granted, the Pelicans got the number 1 overall pick in Zion Williamson. Obviously, he's had some medical issues, but they're a team that has been drafting right around the Cleveland Cavaliers for the past few years, right? It's the same thing with the Suns and the Kings, and the Suns and like the Grizzlies, right? Those are teams that for a few years there, we were drafting right around them. It's like, oh man, we took Josh Jackson, they got De'Aaron Fox, and Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Smith. But when you look at like the Cleveland Cavaliers, they are, although it's a different conference, they are to the Pelicans who the Suns are to the Kings, whereas we've had more success outside of tonight. And you're starting to see that this team is really molding together. They Bill Simmons was talking about it today on the Bill Simmons podcast, about how when you watch this team, they're a team that is very excitable, from a body language standpoint. They're cheering for each other on the sidelines. They're into every possession. They're into every game. Yeah. That energy is infectious. And of course, who's running the point there, Matthew? Who is running the point?
Your boy, dude.
No, it's not my boy, man. It's our boy. Their second team point guard. He's started 2 of the 4 games. That's Ricky Rubio is, he can take a young team and whip him into shape real quick. So this is, as Coda Kid says in the chat, this is a Rubio revenge game, my friend, because I don't think he's been back to Phoenix since we've traded him with fans in the stands.
No, I don't think so either. And you love the new look though with his hair.
Yeah, no? It's like, no, I don't. But
you don't? I don't either. And I was trying to find that clip of him in the shower for Head and Shoulders, but did you delete it? Is it not here anymore? Oh, son of a bitch! This would have been perfect because I miss the long hair. I miss the long hair in the shower and all that stuff.
Pieza profunda e higiene? Confía en HS para un pelo 100% libre de caspa. Clínicamente probado. HS, champú número 1 en España.
Bring it back, Ricky.
Look
Bring
at
it
that.
back,
See,
man.
it's still there. I have it under the
You
old
can't
stuff.
do that with that little hair.
Good old Ricky, man. No, I don't like his new look because it reminds me. Like, do you remember rookie Ricky Rubio?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. It was short.
It was short like it is now, but like he still has like the beard, right? So it's like
Mhm.
he just, I don't know. I've watched Forensic Files, and I swear I've seen that guy. You know, it's like he's really good at trying to hide the DNA, but he left that one strand of hair that was the same color as a rug or something or other. So, but it's going to be exciting having Cleveland in town. You know, I like Evan Mobley, the rookie out of USC. He's going to give us fits. You have Laurie Markkinen's on this team now with Darius Garland. Isaac Okoro isn't playing right now because I think he's hurt. But like you said, Kevin Love.
Oh, my bad.
He didn't play tonight. I know he had a hamstring issue, so I don't know if he's actually. Well, did he end up playing? He was doubtful. But I mean, again, a young, talented team, a team that I like. For all those years that LeBron was in Cleveland, I couldn't stand Cleveland. And the moment LeBron left, I was like, "Oh, I like this team." They had Kyrie Irving, and then like LeBron was back. I was like, "Eh." But I think that this young, talented team will give Phoenix fits for the same exact reason that the Sacramento Kings gave us fits.
Yeah.
And the other side. Now, granted, this is a team that's not good at shooting the three. Okay, they're currently 28th in the league when it comes to attempts, and they're 27th in the league when it comes to shooting percentage. They shoot 30% from three. So if they want to get right, come play Phoenix.
Yeah, and when they do come back, I'm kind of worried because the Cavs can just get. I'm just very down right now on the Suns, of course, with this loss a little bit, right? I'm feeding more into what the Cavs have than what the Suns have, and what they can give, like, and the energy wise on the court, as through the whole game. Is it something the Suns can actually do? I mean, it could be a blowout early in the half, and then you're just okay. Well, here we go. We're gonna get back on the winning ways, but then again, might not. So it's just continuing to just push the pedal, dude. Especially against this team that can't hit threes. It doesn't matter. It's a younger team, kind of, that just is kind of believing in themselves. Even though you got Kevin Love coming off the bench, actually gives a shit now. So that's a guy that can really give your team a little bit more momentum if he wants to play.
It's like Buck Dog, one of our elite jamsters, says in the chat. He's like, jam sweat session is quickly turning into Suns therapy session.
It might be that year, huh?
We all have each other.
Back to square one.
Back to here we go again.
Yeah.
And one thing that we have to monitor as we get prepared for this game, as we mentioned, young team, athletic team that wants to run, team that wants to beat you with hustle and aggressiveness and passion. The Suns have to match that. They can't sit there and be like, well, we played really well in the playoffs last year. It's like none of that shit matters anymore.
Yeah.
And, you have to wonder a little bit. It's creeping into your mind. It's not necessarily there yet. But, you look at Chris Paul, and, we mentioned it today, 1 for 10 from the field. He's averaging 14 points and 11 assists. He's leading the league in assists coming into this game. But you hope that Chris Paul can maintain that level of athleticism, because this is a team that's going to try to test him. And I hope Campaign does have the ability to come back, because as much as we were talking about how much we love seeing Elfrid Payton be as productive as he can, I do like having Campaign out there instead of Elfrid Payton. Maybe I'm different from you on that, but I think he's more athletic. He's plays with that quicker pace. He's somebody who can keep up with a young team that's ready to rock and roll, like the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to want to do on Saturday night.
Yeah, and it's really up to Mega Giants again. What's the Suns' defensive ceiling this year? It's really up to that. I think in these next few games, I mean, when the defense hits, of course, the offense feeds off of it. So if we can get that going, really, that's something that you can just feed off of. And I feel like it didn't hit till kind of late with the turnovers, the fast breaks and all that, where they actually put the pressure on the Kings. So that's something they need to start doing, even against these teams that you should beat and blow out. Just start getting into the habit of just playing the full 48. And with Campaign, of course, I want him on the court. I want Campaign to be the guy to give CP3 a lot of rest. And CP3 should get a lot of rest this year. And it's not going to be a bad thing, because with Campaign and Elfrid Payton behind him, then it's sure to give him some minutes of rest. But Alfred Payton.
Alfred
Payton.
Well, what do we predict for this game? What are we going to lock in our pick against the Fan of the Flames guys? Now, that being said, during this podcast, I did get a text from Justin. He goes, I forgot to put our pick in. Took 3 games. Oops. So I think we're up on them on the standings because we actually put the picks in. Yeah, I put the picks in. I know you don't. Jeez.
No, I
But,
don't. This is your thing. We
it's my
have our
thing.
different things we do. You focus on your things, and I do my little things.
So Kokoda's kid, he says an L. Los Suns, he says a dub. David Wigton says we aren't losing 3 in a row. What are you thinking, Matthew? What should we do?
I think a 3. I think we should. I'm going to say a win, but a 3-game losing streak is Monty's job. I think Monty gets let go.
Get out of here!
I was just joking. That would be like a 10-game losing streak.
let's bring in Luke Walton. I don't know how that guy's still employed in Sacramento. Man.
Every time we play Sacramento since I don't know what is it, 10 years, he's been their coach. So just let him do
What's
it.
Funny
let him have it.
Do you remember when we went to opening night a few years ago when Aaron Baines and Frank Kaminsky were new to the team?
Yeah.
So it was what, 2019-20? I think that's what it was. And we played Sacramento. Remember how Buddy Hield just fucking eviscerated us and we still won at the very end? Same shit. A lot of dubs in the chat. I think we'll lock in.
It should be a win. It has to be a win. I mean, Da said he hates playing on the road. He just because he doesn't want to do it early in the season. Did you see that interview?
Yeah.
He just doesn't want it. Now they're back at home. That's why he's so comfortable playing well. So the second game in a row playing at home, it should be a good one.
I hope so. And again, it's Saturday night, so you have some time. You have more time to rest, more time to analyze the footage. And I think that with this team trying to understand who their identity is, taking a look at that footage is going to be key. I mean, in that piece that I put together for Brightside, I broke down 3 different reasons why the Suns were playing poorly when it comes to perimeter defense. You know, one of it was lack of trust. You have DA and Mikal Bridges in the paint, and yet Chris Paul's dipping down to play defense and leaving this guy wide open, you know. Lack of playing together. You know, you have the new guys like Landry Shamet and JaVale McGee who just weren't coming in the right spots because they just don't know who they are on this offense yet, and on this defense and where they need to be. And the last one was lack of focus. You know, there's some plays where it's just like Devin Booker just does the Devin Booker. I'm just gonna sag off my defender on the weak side, hang out in the paint, and then they whip the ball in 2 passes, and CJ McCollum's just stroking threes all night, and Devin Booker's still hanging out in the paint. You know, so it's like if they stop and read my article or just look at some of the film, you know, they're going to learn 2 things. You know, one, if they read the article tomorrow, Nader shouldn't get any more minutes, and 2, like, you know, take care of those things. You know, perimeter defense has been killing us. Again, you have a team like the Sacramento Kings who come in here, and again, we give up another monster night from 3. You know, 40% is what it ended up being for them. But, you know, in the second half, what was their second half? I can pull it up real quick because it was ridiculous. Let's see here. Talk to yourselves. Let me give you a topic. Spaghetti and cheese.
Spaghetti. Oh, yeah. Just really quick shout out, though, to my background behind me, T. Jones, 757. Nice artwork. Threw it up. I didn't even give it a shout yet. So.
Oh, yeah. I was going to do that.
Thank you. It'll be in the rotation. I love it.
It's beautiful. You know, again, for those of you who are watching, not listening, if you want to have any artwork that you have about the Phoenix Suns, post it up behind Matthew. Go ahead and hit us up on Twitter. T. Jones did that. It looks great. It looks like, I don't know if it's crayon or colored pencil, but it's beautiful. It's got the, you know, the sun, the cactus.
Yeah. And it's not the full picture. It's just the part that I can.
Yes, the part that you can crop and put up there. 11 for 21 is what the being shot in the second half. 11 for 20, 52% from deep. Unbelievable, man. The Suns were 3 from 12.
That's what did it.
I think on that note, I wanted to do the I don't have the thing here. Oh well. The just a shout out to the people who've left us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. You know, the first one we have After Tiger 25. 5 stars, best post-game pod in Planet Orange. We appreciate that. Found this pod toward the end of last season. It really added to my enjoyment of the season, of the end of the season and ensuing finals run. As a Suns fan living in Utah, these guys allow me to feel like I'm still part of the Suns community, even when I can't watch the games. Their award show is always great. The Jammies. And when you combine that with their live chats, honest takes, and segments, even for some of the more underrated, overlooked members of the team, Suns Jam Session will always be my number one go-to for post-game analysis. Go home and love your family. Thank you, After Tiger 25. Really appreciate that. warms my heart. New Hope Manny gave us a 5-star review, and he named it another 5-star review. He's like, you said on your last pod that you need more 5-star reviews, so here's my second. Wonderful content and discussion. You both have passion and knowledge of diehard Suns fans with no false airs. I really enjoy listening to your show. You have a loyal fan out here in Southeast Pennsylvania. Shout out to Pennsylvania. Keep up the fantastic work, fellas. So thank you to New Hope Manny. And then AC Pasquale hit me up. Actually, he said, I've been repping the Sun since I was in high school back in 2007. Basketball is the dominant sport in our country, which is the Philippines. And we have a lot of basketball fanatics here. The most of them are fans of the typical big market teams. I can say I've been the one loyal Suns fan here for the longest time. Hopefully I can catch one of you at the live post-game show, and I can add to Lissy's funds for that Cameron Johnson jersey. So, yeah. I mean, that's what this is all about. The Suns, ride or die, we have each other at the end of the day. So we appreciate you, Jamsters, for just kicking it with us after every game. It really means a lot to just, it's like we're saying, it's therapy at this point, early in the season, and we've been through the highs. We're going through some of the lows, but no matter what, we have each other. Except for Saturday, I won't be here. You'll have Suns Geek instead.
Mm-hmm. Yep, John's a flake, so I'll probably be doing all 82 games. He might throw in 60 games. Who knows?
No, hell no,
Who
man.
knows? He just thinks he has to go to a costume party. What are you dressing up as again, John?
Uncle Fester.
Uncle Fester. There we go.
My wife's going to be Wednesday from the Addams Family. She loves it. We're going to a party. I'm in town for 2 nights. As those who can see, I have a hotel room again behind me. I'm in Palm Desert. I was telling you earlier today, I'll fit this in at the end of the pod. One of the best things I've found was I was on TikTok yesterday, and they had like this website where they're like, hey, you go to this website and they have all of the video games like ever, like for like Nintendo, Atari, Sega Genesis, PlayStation, Nintendo 64, Game Boy, Game Gear, all that stuff. And you just go to this website and you can play the games. So I went to Best Buy today and I bought like this little Super NES looking controller that plugs into my computer, and I can now play these games. So I've finally found a way to really kill time outside of writing articles for Bright Side of the Sun and making stupid little podcasts, drops. Like,
you pay him.
That's how I spend my time now. So if anyone wants to know the name of the site, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up in the DMs. I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead, oh, look at Crazy Pasquale's here. He said Best Suns podcast, and he dropped us 499 little P equal sign things. I'm sorry, Pat. I don't know what currency that is.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, thank you very much.
But we appreciate that. That helps Matthew get that jersey. Thank you for being a loyal listener out there in the Philippines, man. It really, really means a lot to us. So, but again, so that's it. That's all I got, man.
All right, that's
playing stupid little video games in hotel rooms while I'm out in Palm Desert. Yeehaw, little doggy.
It's time to hit the sack, I think.
Yeah, it's time to go to bed. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. If you are listening, again, subscribe, rate, review. If you're here, hit that thumbs up. We truly appreciate it. You can become an elite Jamster by clicking the join button here on YouTube or following the link in the description. You can follow me at Darth Void on Twitter. You can follow Matthew
at Matthew Lissy,
and follow the show at Suns Jam. If you would like to have your artwork behind Matthew, DM us up there on Suns Jam, and stay tuned for our bet on it. Help us win some money, because we are way overdue.
Yeah, everyone go home and love your family.
See you on Saturday.